Hi everybody, good morning. Tennis Spats interviews from California. It's a rainy day today, so no tennis for me, no teaching. But I'm so excited, so happy to have a very special guest, Mr. Rick Macci, one of the legends of coaching tennis. And he worked with so many good players, great champions, as you know, Serena, Venus, Williams, Jennifer Capriati, Rick Macci. There you go. I'm gonna just join you because you are very special guest today, Rick. The invitation has been sent, so Rick Macci, a legend. Amir, how are you doing? Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. Hey, Rick. Bang. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
A little louder. Let me see.
Okay.
I can hear you now. I can hear you great. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure because you are one of the figures that I watch. I'm a tennis coach, and I'm not a journalist, so don't worry about. I'm not in magazine of showbiz.
I'm just one of the guys. So that's who I am.
Okay, Rick. Thank you so much. It's an honor, really, having you here in my show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
No, and thank you for being so nice and responding so quickly. I think we are old school, right?
Yeah, I'm old school, new schooled. Just so I don't get schooled. That's kind of the main thing. But no, I always get back to everybody, and I've been that way kind of my whole life, and that's kind of what makes the academy different. I talk to almost everybody, email, text, and I try to be involved no matter what age or what level.
Where are you originally from, Rick? For people who wants to know about you.
Yeah, I'm originally from a small town in Ohio called Greenville. It's like 20 miles southwest of Dayton, Ohio. That's where I grew up, and I was there till about age 22. And what's ironic, I played all kinds of sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey. And at 12 years old, I actually picked up a tennis racket and just fell in love with the game, hitting the ball against the wall. And 6 years later, I was #1 player in Ohio Valley. I never had a tennis lesson. I became real good, real fast, and became pretty decent player, And by 21, I just wanted to really get into teaching. I liked helping others more than helping myself. And I kind of had a gift to communicate. And, the rest is history. Here we are all these years later, and I still feel the same way as I did back then.
Of course, everybody's waiting for me to ask you about the movie, King Richard, but I'm going to give everybody a hold. I have 3 topics. I know you have only 30 minutes. Do you have a mentor growing up, an inspiration, somebody who has inspired you in your career, Rick?
People have asked me that a lot, really over my career, but a lot more because I've been doing podcasts and Instagram lives and interviews. Not really. I'd say there'd be probably 2 people, in the early 80s, which I was kind of already on my way a little bit. I spent a lot of time with Dr. Jim Lair, the sports psychologist. He was cutting edge. He was a pioneer. He was really first to the Mohicans. Now there's a lot of people that do what he does, but I was always intrigued with the mental part of everything. And, I was like a brutal competitor growing up, I was like mentally strong. And so Jim had a big impact on how I probably do some things. And then recently I have this collaboration with Dr. Brian Gordon. He has his PhD in biomechanics. He's very much cutting edge. And, the research that me and him have done and the methodology that we put together, all backed up by science. So I'm still learning every day. And I think the biggest influence on my life has been who's ever on the other side of the net, that hour, that minute, that second. And I mean that. I think that's the biggest. But I kind of have my own thing. I have my own lingo. And when I give a lesson, it's like a smorgasbord. There's mental, there's physical, there's fitness, there's biomechanics. It's like one-stop shopping. And I kind of feel the temperature and I just go from there.
Fantastic. Rick, what was, according to you, the biggest change or changes in our industry, teaching? Because everybody talks about the equipment, the rackets, of course, we know that, the strings, but What else in the teaching business? I would love to hear from you. You're a legend.
Well, thank you. You know, it's really like any sport. The speed of the game, okay, changes, and the quality of the athlete that comes into the game changes. So when you got people bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, you know, along with what you just said about the technology, now the game becomes a little bit more about movement. You know, movement has become a premium, you know, and now that you get all this power from the rackets and strings, that's why you kind of see serve volley had disappeared. I mean, if you even watch video from 15 years ago, it almost looks like it's in slow motion. You know, everything is so much quicker and earlier. And, you know, the way Venus and Serena even changed the women's game, bringing that athleticism into the game. So with that being said, I think movement and fitness is more of a premium, but stroke mechanics is at an all-time high. You know, when you can look at things at 400 frames a second and you understand physics and you understand how the human body works, you know, even though there's not a wrong way or right way, there is a better way. And I think just the mechanical part or the technical part is how do I want to say it? It's like more urgent, because one big backswing or one crazy grip can cost you not only maybe a better college scholarship or maybe a better place on the pro tour or millions of dollars. And I've just seen that so much. And, you know, just like this thing we did on the ATP forehand that I put out there long ago, you know, that's pretty much, we really revolutionized how to explain it in terms where everybody can kind of teach it. And so, you know, I think as any coach, everybody should try to learn every day from each other. But that would be the biggest thing. I think that's, if you're still teaching people, what I mean by that, juniors or people that want to play pro or go to college, you got to be up to time, up to the speed about what's going on in today's game. Club players, different, because they don't have a lot of time. They play for fun. But, you know, I have a lot of adults that come and see me, and I do reconstructive surgery on them, and they're blown away. You know, I got to reverse engineer the muscle memory. So, but at the end of the day, that would be the answer to that question. And by the way, it's a great question, because all of us should be trying to get better every day.
Rick, so clear and fun. You're funny and funny and fun, you know, at the same time, because you come up with some sentences, phrases, amazing. What a coach can't teach, because we all take credit for everything, you know. Oh, I did that play, but what we can't really teach.
First off, that's a great question, you know, and I think, you know, whenever someone becomes successful, it's a team effort. It's not Rick Macy, it's not Daniel, it's a team effort, you know. Obviously, well, the first thing I look for, because I probably can evaluate talent just as good, if not anybody in the world. And everything in life is in the eye of the beholder. So I think the genetic base is number one. You know, if the mom and dad played at a high level, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, hockey, track, swimming. So the genetic base is the wild card. Believe me, if you're born with fast twitch muscle, or you're in an environment where you're naturally going to be maybe more competitive, all these things go into the equation of what you eventually see on the pro tour. I'm not saying you couldn't make someone rough and tough, or you couldn't make someone faster and quicker, but you got to have something to work with. You know, to win the Derby, you got to have the thoroughbred. You know, I tell people all the time, I could put amazing strokes on a donkey, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a donkey with an amazing strokes, but they're going to play the best they can. So the genetics, that's such a big key to this whole thing, you know, and that's obviously what I saw in Venus and Serena. Once I went down the road, believe me, it wasn't about stroke mechanics. You know, I had Capriati for 3 years, and she's probably the best junior player ever. She won the National Girls 18 as a 12-year-old. Daniel, that will never, ever be done. That's a record in 1998 that stands today. So my blue Jennifer had her racket back in the parking lot, and her knees were bent, and she had a low center of gravity, and all this was baked in by the late, great Jimmy Everett, you know? So when I saw Venus and Serena, there was arms and legs and hair and beads flying everywhere. I didn't think they were that good, But once we started competing, the whole landscape changed. So to answer your question, if you can move and you're a crazy athlete, it's open-ended, because even when you're nervous, you can run around and win matches, so that's what I look for mainly. And so it sure helps have that in the pocket. Now, the mental part, that can be nurtured because your brain can't really reason. It's 9, 10, 11 years old. That takes longer to develop. But I saw it right away in Sonia Kennan, who I had from age 5 to 12. I saw it right away at age 11 with Sharapova. That box was already checked, the mental part. And I kind of saw that with Roddick, even though it's a little more physical and you can't really tell with young boys, a little easier with the girls. So, but the mental part, being in the right environment, a lot of positivity, creating belief, trying to shape their mind. And so that all can be, enhanced. But at the end of the day, the genetic base is the most important thing if you want to make someone a better athlete.
Rick, how you spot a good coach? When you stop and say, he or she, they're good. He's a good coach.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is you got to care more about others than you care about yourself. And a lot of times coaches aren't like that, not just tennis, but all sports. So, I think that's the number one thing. You got to have a big heart wanting to help others. I think that's the number one thing, because if you're genuine, the parents and the kids feel that. And that's why a lot of times I can get kids to jump over fences and run up hills and, do things they never thought they could do and extract greatness. So, and I'm that way with a 4-year-old or a 70-year-old guy or someone top 10 in the world on the pro tour. So I think that's number one. That's what I look for. Then you got to love it. You can't wait to get on the court, and you want to be on the court. And, that's a big thing. I mean, that's what means the most to me. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are really smart. Okay. But maybe they don't know how to deliver the goods for someone that day or that level or whatever, or they haven't changed with the times. And they don't know how to communicate. So communicating and motivating, especially when you're talking children from age 5 to whatever, 17, or really on the pro tour, to motivate people and just to inspire, because there's some things that just like bring people the other way. So that's a big thing. So it's not the smartest guy, because I tell everybody this all the time. The smartest guy is the smartest coach is the smartest coach because he knows he's not that smart, So I think that would be the main thing. But I think just caring, being on time all the time, treating others better than you want to treat yourself, staying in contact with them with text and email and calling them. And it's the little things. It's even that way in life. If you have a lot of little things, that can, solve a lot of big things. And so it's all the little things. And that's why when people come down and other coaches like watch me coach, or they get like accredited in the Macci system, they're kind of blown away, because it's not what I've done for Jennifer or Venus or Serena. That's something different. It's not, they see me with 8 different levels of people and how I deal with the parents and how I deal with the kids. One's heavy technical, the next is all mental. I mean, there's just a whole combination to be flexible and not do the same things you've done for the last 20 years.
Rick, before asking you about the movie Time Flies, 3 technical questions. Coach, I'm going to love this. Do you like to teach with the soft balls, the colorful balls that, it make us believe that they will be better players because they learn with the softer balls, or not?
Yes and no. I know that was a bad answer, but it's not one size fits all. Okay, let's go back in time, because I'm just like a real guy. Okay, so let's go back in time before there was green dot or orange. I think there was a lot of great players that played with a regular ball at 4, 5, 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? I tell people, if you're good, you can hit a tomato. I mean, that might not come back, but so now to answer your question, you can use the orange ball or the green dot, and that might make life a little easier because of the size and the strength and the bounce of the ball. But it comes down to who's the coach on the court delivering the goods. I mean, you still got to have good technique and you got to do things correctly. It might be easier and might keep more people engaged and have fun, but it's not one size fits all. And that's my pushback against these rules or regulation. I have some kids that are 6 years old and they use a regular ball because they're as talented as 10-year-olds, you know, and then they don't have to make the transition of the balls bouncing all over the place. So anybody that's listening to this, don't put everybody in a box. Some kids are mentally further along. Some kids are physically more stronger. It's just like someone who's a freshman who's very smart and he's going to go to college, or someone who's in 7th grade and they're on Broadway playing the piano or the violin, you know. So you got to be real careful with mandating this, and that. I've never done that. The Williams sister, anybody who I've coached, they've always used regular balls, but I do use the orange and I do use the green dot. But it's a lot of the kids, I try to get them to where it's going to be as quickly as possible, because the flip side is when the ball bounces higher, you might have to move more. You got to move your feet more. You got to improvise. Is it going to mess up your stroke? Well, wait a minute. Who's on the court with you, coaching you with technique anyways? Because a lot of times, it's been my experience, the little kids, they hit the ball anyway, you know? So it's a mixed bag. It's not one size fits all. And like anything in life, the best plan is a flexible one.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Private lessons or group lessons, Rick? Better for development, or both?
Oh, back in the day, obviously when I ran the group lessons at the academy, I could just orchestrate the band and keep things moving. And after every shot, I would correct something, prepare early, turn the shoulders. I would say something every ball, after every person hit the ball, whether I said something, a corrective technique or a motivational thing. After every ball was hit, I was always chirping. So I actually love doing group lessons, especially back at Greenleaf. But as my career went on, it changed a lot because I do so much private. Even today, as we sit here today, I still teach over 50 hours a week of private lessons, 7 days a week. So I don't really do a lot of group. I oversee what's going on. But eventually, if you want to play at a high level, you're not going to get there even at an academy. Academies are good for matches, but you need one-on-one, you need sparring partners, you need individual fitness. The academies are good for other players you can play with, but you can also get that at tournaments. The difference with the model that I have, and I've done this, Daniel, since 1985. I'm like the last of the Mohicans. There's no billion-dollar corporation behind me. And IMG's, they own Bollettieri's. And Hopman, so I've done this for a long time. I have a different model, but because I'm there every day and I teach every day, anybody, anytime, anywhere, people want to know what you're going to do for them, besides the other coaches that I've trained in the methodology and so on and so forth. So we're not everything to everybody, but at the end of the day, if you really want crazy technique and you want to be developed as a player, I think what we do here is better than anybody in the world.
Super clear. Bang, like I said. Rick, last technical question. What comes first, the egg or the chicken? Techniques or tactics, or both? Because this is a big debate, in the last probably 10, 15 years, with a game-based approach, letting the kids play and do whatever they want, and then you start coaching them. So and before we used to teach first, at least decent form, and then start playing. What do you think? You're an expert.
Yeah, no, first off, it's a great question. And I'm very strong about this. To me, it's all about technique. But who's teaching the technique? Everything's in the eye of the beholder. You don't want to be taking your backswing back to Compton, or to Spain, or, people might have a crazy grip and they say, well, that guy did it, So I answer your question, there's a caveat. What is great technique? that's in the eye of the beholder. I would teach everybody, to keep the racket on the hitting side like Federer and Djokovic. I'd have the backhand like Djokovic. Biomechanically, the serve should be like the best servers. So this is where it's complex. And I feel a lot of people don't teach the technical part that well because they don't want to study it. They don't want to research it. And it's easy to say what you just said. Oh, let's just hit the ball, have fun, run around the court. But now you got to do this. The parents spend a lot of money, a lot of time, and now the kid has held the racket wrong for 4 years. Their backswing is gigantic. The elbow comes in. The preparation's late. And now you're starting all over. And at the end of the day, even though myself and Brian Gordon can do this better than anybody, we got to clean up the muscle memory. We got to reverse engineer it. We got to try to expedite the learning curve because they're older, and I got to reprogram the reflexes. And this is very hard to do when the kids get like 15, 16, 17, because the technique is kind of baked in extra crispy. Even though we can change we can change things, and I do this all the time. But then again, when I saw Roddick at 9 years old, he led with the elbow back. It was a little different. He actually was doing ATP, and he actually almost taught me back then, okay, because Tommy Ho didn't hit the ball like that. Either did Jennifer. She had more of a WTA stroke. So I'm not saying there's a wrong way or right way. There's a better way. But to answer your question, technique for younger kids, when people come here, Daniel, and they see kids 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old that are here with me at Rick Macy Tennis Center in Boca, they're blown away. I'm not saying they're going to play one at Stanford or be top 10 in the world, but they hit the ball very different than kids 14, just because it's like a piece of clay. And when you get them when they're young, you can put this thing and bake it however you want, put it in the oven, and then they come out and I just keep icing it for everybody. So the technique to me by far is the most important thing. And I think the people that disagree, it's because they maybe don't understand it. It's easy to say, well, just play and have fun.
Excellent. 2 questions from the audience, Rick, I wanna share quickly. Emma Burgic, which is a tennis pro, former WTA, is asking what age you recommended to start playing tournaments, the kids.
Age to play tournaments?
How old they should be, how young?
Yeah, I get these type questions all the time, and it kind of goes back to what you said about orange ball, green dot, not a wrong way or right way. There's a better way. For me to sit here and say 4 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, you can actually play a lot of tournaments, and it can actually make you worse because you actually try not to lose to win, and maybe it messes up your technique. So I don't think there's a certain age. I think if your kid needs to be better as a competitor, I think you should put him out there and let him feel like responsibility and ownership and pressure, learn how to win and lose, and that will spark their passion to maybe work harder. So, but for me to sit here, I would never say an age because it's not one size fits all. Because if I was that way, think of this question. If I was that way, I would say, listen, I coach Venus and Serena, and they never played any tournaments, and look how that turned out. And I would never say that to any parent because they were different I already knew they could compete. So I think throw them in there, let them see how they like it. It will, a lot of times when you lose or win, it can spark something to work harder, or they might not want to work as hard. Maybe they'll end up taking up golf. I don't know, but I think there's no certain age, but I think when you compete, you could always learn something. And if it doesn't help you in the game of tennis, it's definitely going to help you in the game of life.
Now, excellent, Rick. Now we're going to the movie.
Movie? What movie? Oh, the movie.
Hey, King Richard. But I was surprising you because you didn't expect me, probably asking you about this tennis question. But I am a tennis coach. I want to learn from you.
No, you can ask me anything. I'm not on the court, so I'm kind of on the court, so you can ask me anything.
Thanks. No, how much Mr. Richard Williams knew about tennis?
He knew a lot. He really did. He knew a lot. I think he watched a lot of videos. He studied a lot, and he knew a lot. But then again, everybody knows a lot, but there might be a lot of people that know a lot more, of when to say it, how to say it, why to say it, and who to say it to. So, but at the end of the day, he knew a lot. And that's actually a very good question. When I went to Compton and, met the family or whatever, before we even hit a ball, we had a connection. Even on the phone, when I talked to this guy, he said, Rick, come out here and I promise I won't get you shot. Okay. This is in 91. And I thought the guy was hilarious and funny. And when I met the whole family, it's hard to explain, because I never really talked about this the last 20 years that much. And we just connected. And I knew the guy was like stubborn and kind of set in his ways, but I loved the guy. He was my best friend. And Venus and Serena came like my own daughters, and that came across in the movie. So, but he knew a lot and he had his opinions. And at the end of the day, if we disagreed on something, we would just talk about it. And what I'd wait till he went to get something to eat. And I'd go back in there and clean it up, and kind of do my thing. But no, it was a team effort. But obviously at the end of the day, Rick Macci did the heavy lifting, because I'm there every day, 4 or 5 hours. And that's the wild card, think about it. When you say 4 or 5 hours every day, 6 days a week for 4 years, that's still a lot, but take that times 365 days, and they didn't play a match for 3.5 years. And then when I got Venus, the wild card into the pro tournament, she walks off the street, no matches, hibernating at Rick Macci Academy, just playing practice matches against boys and older people, never winning. Daniel, she never won. Just that alone, people would go somewhere else. And she was like a lion I let out of a cage. And when she beat 57 in the world and then almost beat number one, people knew this kid's going to be number one in the world. And maybe her little sister might even be better. But to answer your question, Richard knew a lot, but like Stefano Capriati, Jim Pierce, any of these fathers that kind of had daddy's little girl, they're on the court with me every day or almost every day. They're gonna learn a lot just from that interaction, but at the end of the day, he knew a lot, and that made everything a lot easier.
And Rick, what was your biggest challenge coaching these champions, legends, Venus and Serena back there? Do you remember the most?
Oh no, listen. Everything, like my daughter. Here you go. Like my daughter always said, I still have a steel trap. My memory's like amazing. I remember everything, especially about that situation, because it was probably one of the most satisfying times of my career, because it was like my second family. So the most challenging was Venus and Serena were incredible athletes, but you remember they were 9 and 10 years old, or 10 and 11. So like I said, Capriati, it's like the ball was on a string. This was not textbook country club. There was a lot of open stance. There's a lot of things I didn't even change with the grip a little bit, because what other people maybe thought biomechanically was wrong, I saw it as a disguise and a weapon. Even today, I'll take Venus's backhand down the line as one of the best 2 shots in the history of women's tennis, because she hits it open stance. Her hip goes one way, her hands go the other, and she still hits winner after winner, even though it's coming. It's just and I saw that early on. And a lot of people were criticizing me, said, what is that? And I just said, listen, she wants to do it. It's working. I know where it's going. So I think being able to just kind of let them be themselves and naturally have their own style a little bit, because I wasn't as biomechanically plugged in as I am now the last 20 years. So I think that is like probably the biggest thing, just trying to get them to play very aggressive, cut the court, understand the geometry of the court, and develop a game that was going to be cutting edge, because I knew they could transcend the game, besides be possibly number one in the world.
And Rick, final question about the movie King Richard. Rick Macci, the Rick Macci that we saw, it was you? I mean, exactly portrayed by John Bertel. I mean,
well, a lot of people that knew me back then said that was the energy. That was a lot of the one-liners. You know, John read my book, Macy Magic, and got a lot of isms. My mustache wasn't that bushy, okay? But I think, you know, it's hard for me to look at it from that. Other people have said, yeah, there was a lot of mannerisms, but I think the most important thing, he loved that family and he cared about those girls. And it didn't matter about Richard. I was there for the girls. I was on a mission, okay? There was no doubt in my mind, Daniel, whether it took 2 years, well, going to be 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, I wasn't going to be denied because I knew what I could do. You know what I mean? I knew what I could do, and I knew what I had when I saw the speed, the quickness, the athleticism. And so as a coach, and you know this, I love challenges. You know, Jennifer was gone by then. She was top 10 in the world on the Pro Tour. It was a challenge, but I knew what I had, and I believed in the girls. But I knew it was going to take a lot of work because they were athletes, and there was stuff all over the place, you know. And I needed hitting partners, and I had to keep my hands around this for 4 years, and my time every day, and taekwondo, and boxing, and ballet, and throwing the football and the medicine ball, and you know, just willing this thing to happen. I wasn't going to be denied, but it's easy. No one else took a chance. And it's not just my time, which would go into the millions. Okay. I put the money out there, you know, the $92,000 motorhome and the $54,000 salary and the condo at Greenleaf and food and health insurance and furniture and Disney tickets and the golf cart. I could go on and on, but it didn't matter whether it's 50,000, 500,000 or $1 million, because I knew this was bigger than Rick Macci. I knew that they could transcend the sport even back then because I knew what I could do. And not only could Venus be #1 in the world, her little sister might even be better.
And they were the Williams family, Rick. They have been grateful to you.
They've always been grateful, you know. And you know, I saw Richard like, I don't know, maybe 10 days ago. I went to West Palm. Haven't seen him in a while. His memory's like a steel trap. He looks great. You know, he's 79. We were laughing and like just, it was crazy how it was just like old times, you know, and the stories that I was telling him, he had tears in his eyes, you know. Remember, it's hard for other people to understand. You know, I know it sounds better. I went from Compton to center court, but the 4 years with Rick Macci, I think it comes loud and clear in the movie. And we were like that. I mean, people got to understand it's more than coaching. This was much, much deeper because it was a bigger thing. And remember, I'm telling everybody, you know, she's going to be better than Capriati. She'll be #1 in the world. I knew I wasn't going to be flavor of the month for that. Then you got Richard, who's saying crazy things and he's controversial. But I love the guy for one reason, how he interacted with those girls and how he treated those girls. He would bring their books to the court. Daniel, if it rained, he'd make them go up in my office and study. Every night after practice, they would just say, Rick, thank you very much. Whether it's a good day, bad day, happy day, sad day. And that's life lessons from Orsine and Richard. You got to understand. And so that, when you love what you're doing, which I do, and you love the people you're with, it makes this so much easier. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like, you're always going to have ups and downs. But I was on a mission. And yeah, they've been more than appreciative of everything. And I'm just happy that the movie comes out. It's like the icing on the cake, because I think more people know exactly kind of how this played out. And more importantly, to get to go to California, reunite with everybody off a tennis court, the red carpet, spend time with Venus, Serena. Call them that. I call her VW and Meek. Okay, I don't call them Venus, Serena. And then to touch base with Richard. I mean, it's just great. But I love the movie because it's so inspirational, and it's about the power of family and love. It's about dedication. Like I said, inspiration, education, perspiration, you know, one nation. It's a lot of nations going on here. So it's something for everybody. And even if you don't play tennis, the movie's going to be amazing.
And to finish, and once again, thank you so much, Rick, for your time. I really, from my heart, And I hope if I go to Florida, which is I'm planning, I'm gonna call you to visit you.
You
Uh,
call me,
uh,
and I'm court one. If you don't know where I'm at, just go to court one. That's where I'm at.
There you go. Listen, this is a holiday present that you are so generous. I'm gonna give away right now. I want you, please, Rick, to send a message to the junior players who wants to play college, any advice or pro, then to the parents, the coaches, do's and don'ts quickly. They should do or don't do, and finally to the parents who think and feel that after watching the movie they can coach their kids, like Richard and Mr. Williams did. So juniors, coaches, and players and
Okay.
parents.
First off, awesome question. You got to remember, with a junior player, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. I've had over 322 national championships since '85. I mean, that's kind of going to be hard for people to surpass all these kids that I've taught. So, but it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. So this is called junior development. It's not junior final destination. It's a long-term process. The 12s and 14s isn't even almost like tennis. The serve doesn't come into play. The returns aren't that important. You can't reason your brain yet. Make the decision about college or pro at 17. It's not a race to the finish line. Learn great strokes, develop an amazing work ethic. Like I told you, I outworked everybody when I was a kid. No one taught me, and I was number one in the Ohio Valley, in 5 short years. No one taught me anything. But I think that quality is still with me today. I just kind of outwork people a little bit, or I expect it from myself. So have a great attitude. Never make excuses. Outwork the competition. If you're a junior, don't get down on yourself, because if you believe, you can achieve. And the most important thing is what you think of yourself, for all the kids out there, because I see this change all the time. I've seen people beat people 0-0 at 16, and 3 years later, that guy beats him at Wimbledon. So this thing changes like the weather. So, but it's easy to get caught up in the balls and strikes. So that would be my message to the kids. Get great technique, practice on your day off. You don't make excuses. Hit against the wall. Hit serves. You got to work. Okay, and what you get from that not only will help your tennis, but will help you in your schoolwork, education, and the game of life. And when the time comes for college, every coach asks me, how's their attitude and how's their work ethic? They know their UTR. They know their national ranking. They ask me about the character. So that's huge. Everybody wants to be around positive people. Now, for the coaches, it's about the kids. It's not about the coach, And even with all the success I've had, youngest Hall of Fame and all the war, it's not about me. And, I'm just one of the guys, as you're kind of seeing right now. And, so it's always about the player. And I think a lot of coaches, kind of think it's about them. It's always about the player. So that'd be number one. Number two, you got to keep learning. You got to get more tools in your toolbox. Check your ego out the door. We all learn from each other, especially from the students. You got to learn. But people have success. They have a player who's good, and they think they know everything, and then they get pigeonholed and they don't keep learning. I learned this morning when I was on the court with the number one girl in the country that I coach, who's in the 12. So I learn every day, and that's the approach you got to have. Because if you're not learning, you're not living. Now, regarding the parents should be involved. They should be supportive. They should be super positive. They got to remember, what were they like at 12, at 14? And when I bring that up to the parent, they kind of become silent when I change the conversation when a kid does bad or misses balls. They said, well, how'd you feel when you were that age? So the parents have to take a deep breath. They shouldn't coach their kids. They can give pointers and tips, because remember, they're mom and dad first. They're not the coach. And I think you got to really know sports psychology, and you got to know your child, because as they get older, which they will, and they get like 15, 16, they get a boyfriend, they get a girlfriend, they get a driver's license. The parents are the ones that usually burn out, because the kids lose that passion, because the parent was trying so hard to make it happen. And the one thing they can pick up from Richard, he was protective. He was just so loving and so supportive, of everything. And like, you got to understand, even though he was involved hitting balls with him, beating and so on, there was a reason why they left California to come to Academy, so I could put this Humpty Dumpty project together. So it doesn't happen overnight, but that would be my advice to the parents. Be supportive, unreal positive, try to extract greatness out of your child. Because remember, tennis is just going to be a snippet of their life, and you always got to look at the bigger picture.
Fantastic, Rick. And this is seriously the last one. What would you do different now if you get a phone call from another Richard Williams, whoever from some part of the world, and I have 2 daughters, future, whatever, number one, would you take them again? Would you do the same?
My daughter's right here, because if something goes wrong with the computer or the phone, she's laughing. I've already had about 20.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, hi to her, please, for me.
Yeah. They actually had twins. Listen, I've had this even way before the movie. Here's my answer. If I saw something that I saw in Venus and Serena or one, and I've seen bits and pieces, but I just have never seen that since. Okay. And so with that being said, would I do that? Absolutely. Because I like helping people, especially if they need opportunity, whether it be financial or just the tennis part. But, to go all in like that, I would never do that again, because I'll end it in this. There'll never be another Venus and Serena. Think about this. 2 kids live in the same house, share the same bedroom, and they're both number 1 in the world. I mean, you can't make that up. I mean, come on, if that happens again, that will be beyond amazing, because there's so many things that could derail that. Pressure, jealousy. I mean, these girls are like 2 peas in a pod. Even today, they're like that. They were like that at 10 years old, and they're still like that at the after party. So that in itself is unique, but that's all the mom and dad.
Fantastic. Yeah. Rick, thank you so very much from my heart.
We'll do it again.
I will love it. I have so many more things. Look, I did my homework. Look. But it's just half of it.
But if you do your homework, you don't have to work at home. So remember that one.
Exactly. Thank you. And I hope you have a good time.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. Happy holidays. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you very much. And it was amazing. Great information about everything. Tennis, parents, for juniors. Thank you, Amir. Sorry, Amir. I can't ask all the questions, but I'm very excited, very happy. Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. Thank you, Ricardo. Gracias. And I'm looking forward to see you Thursday with another interview with a female tennis coach. She's in Florida, a former WTA player. Emma Burgic, we're going to interview her. We need to bring some girls to the show too. Bye-bye. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.